And for all of you TSM fans, I know there are a lot of you out there. If you want to see TSM into the grand final, secure a place in the World Championship, and go on to the Season 3 Championship Series, let me hear you.
All 5 members of Curse waiting around this edge. They're waiting, actually, I think, for a Maokai sapling from the Odd One, but he is nowhere near. TSM very measured defensive approach here, trying to ward off a Curse initiate, and we might not see any action here unless someone wanders into the wrong spot.
TSM covering all 4 entrances of the jungle. They want to make sure that Curse is nowhere near it. Curse grouping up around the Wraiths. It looks like they're expecting a Team SoloMid invade, and they want to punish it.
Odd One might come up for a sapling here. Will they try to go? No. Right onto the face of Cop, and there they run away.
Bit of a poke onto Cop. Those Maokai saplings, so good at the level 1 force scouting, as well as a little bit of extra damage. TSM getting that Wraith ward. We'll see if Reginald is going to do what he really likes to do, which is steal Curse's Wraiths right off the bat. Right now, he's going to help Odd One out with the Wolves Blue. Another standard opening for both of these junglers. No aggressive level 1s.
Saintfish is starting red here. He's going to run to there right after picking up these Wraiths. Wonder if Odd One's going to save his smite for faster access to jungle. And we actually see a 2v2, bit of a lane swap, predicting each other's movements. This is going to give TSM a slight advantage because they're getting the experience from double golems up top. Top and Elements are not going to be so lucky.
Vladimir and Rumble moving into that bottom lane. Chaos and Xpecial extremely aggressive with that great Blitzcrank. Corki and Nunu, no slouches themselves in terms of the aggression, but with that Blitzcrank hook, Cop could go for a ride really fast.
Xpecial, seen him do very well on Blitzcrank in the past, and comboing that with the Graves Buckshot is really, really potent. Getting them up close for all 3 of those blows to do damage is very paramount. Odd One doing a lot of time, spending a lot of time just making sure he's scouting, throwing up those Maokai saplings. There's a lot of wards out early. Once again, they're very worried about early ganks and early invades. Bit of paranoia coming out from TSM, not wanting to get Odd One shut down.
And an aggressive ward from Curse to cover that Tri-Brush to make sure that Odd One is not going to be moving through either entrances. They learned their lesson from that game 1 with the top lane getting punished by that Maokai. KX and Xpecial content to just freeze the lane. You on this 2v2, Odd One about to pick up this red buff and see what he's going to do with it.
It might be just like last game where he's trying to keep up with Saintfish's farm. He didn't gank last time until about 6 minutes into the match. So normally you see a lot of very early ganks by Maokai, but they know Curse is ready for this. They've played against each other many times. So he's mainly just guaranteeing his farm here, making sure in those late game team fights he can sit in the middle of things and just soak with that ultimate and with that passive healing. That's what he did last game. He may just try for a repeat of that.
Jet, with the Nunu Corki combination, what are they trying to do in this lane?
This is almost a flip of what happened last time from the support perspective. The Blitzcrank is all about getting the picks, and Cop and Elements are all about the sustained fights.
But here comes Saintfish coming in. Dyrus flashing out, forcing Saintfish to burn his exhaust. Dyrus is going to turn around, get some Flame Spitter down, so some good damage from Dyrus. He gets a little laugh in. 1v2, no problem for Rumble.
Still tricky for Dyrus here because without Flash and his lane pushing, he's not going to have very good access. Saintfish has spent a little more time denying him. He could actually give Westeros a bit bigger of an advantage. Instead, he's running around, trying to keep his farm up in the jungle. That ward in the Wraiths allows Dyrus to know that he can stay up here and shove the lane. He's going to shove that, go back, and that gank's actually not going to hurt him that badly.
And Dyrus starting to pull ahead a little bit. 19 minion kills to Westeros' 10 this early in the game. Not that much of a lead, but telling of the amount of bullying that Dyrus is already doing on the Rumble. Nijaki already has that blue buff. Saintfish is being a resourceless jungler, and Nijaki taking full advantage, spamming his abilities, and putting pressure on Reginald. That's what we saw in game 1, and it was pretty effective.
We'll see whether he's able to get a kill onto Reginald here. Last time when Nijaki pinged level 6, he was unable to aggress. A lot of that was when the second blue buff didn't go through to Nijaki. This early laning phase for Reginald is really all about him surviving. He needs to get late game. He needs to turn into that just AD carry type of caster where he just sits in a spot and pings damage over and over again. Because in this laning phase, it's proven that Nijaki is a bit superior to Reginald's rise.
Seeing if we can get a repeat of game 1. Odd One sitting in that brush. Will they be able to first blood Westeros again? Odd One has the red buff, so he'll be able to get that
Very
slowdown.
difficult game.
Dyrus is trying to bait him out, but West Rice's lane is pushing, and St. Vicious is there. There goes the snare onto the Odd One. Odd One has the red buff. The pool going down, but West Rice is ignited, and St. Vicious is going to try and turn this one around. No, he won't. He's going to back off. So a couple summoner spells burned. West Rice using that pool smartly to get out of there, but he's at about 50% health.
Fortunately for West Rice, he didn't actually have to burn anything, but Dyrus did expend his Ignite, so that was just a very difficult gank for Odd One. He probably shouldn't have necessarily been in that spot because there wasn't a way for that converting. He did have the pool. Now we actually see a level 6 roam by Nijaki. This is the gank that they've been waiting for. Whether this can take advantage, they might try a tower dive. How's TSM going to respond?
Nijaki is going in, and TSM has no idea that this is happening. Cop and Elements trying to bait it out. Nijaki is looping around. If he goes under this tower, he does land the binding onto KX. He has the black shield. He does it the ultimate. There's first blood to Nijaki, an expert roam, and he is assassinating once again on that Morgana.
Reginald did not realize that Nijaki had vanished. They may have thought he went back to base because he had not shopped prior to using that gank. That's the aggression that Nijaki puts on the rest of the team. That's why Reginald has to dominate this matchup, because if he allows Nijaki to roam around, the rest of the lanes are going to get into a lot of trouble.
Dyrus putting some pain down on West Rice. Looking a little bit closer at that mid lane matchup. Nijaki with that first blood and 46 mini kills. Ooh, huge chunk going out onto Dyrus from West Rice. That Vladimir is hitting hard already. Nijaki, 46 minion kills. He has the Sorcerer's Shoes and the Doran's Ring. Reginald, on the other hand, going with 2 mana crystals, and he's at 40 minion kills, but he is behind that first blood gold.
And last time Reginald did go for the early health crystal, but now that he's double mana, the next time Nijaki's ultimate's up, Reginald will be in danger of dying, so he's going to have to play very passively in that lane, which is not his style whatsoever. Interesting choice going with that double Sapphire Crystal.
Nijaki trying to build his lead. St. Vicious is holding that bottom lane. Dyrus doing his best to try and prevent it, but Shyvana, such a strong duelist as well as a strong farmer, is going to prevent that lane from pushing into the tower. Odd One, on the other hand, setting up this blue for Reginald. Reginald's going to be able to use it to get a little bit of extra farm. That mana regeneration and cooldown reduction, especially for Ryze, is going to be paying dividends.
Now that Nijaki did pick up that first blood, he's feeling good. He might get a little bit over-aggressive. He knows he has the advantage on Reginald. This is a chance for the Odd One, with those boots of mobility, to roam around and try some ganks. Unfortunately, there are a lot of wards, but if he catches Nijaki in an act of aggression, he would be able to turn something around. And it's really going to be all about timing if they want to do that.
There's the speed boost from X Special, maybe going for a hook, but the minions are blocking his path. Chaos is actually backing on top of a ward. Nijaki continuing to pressure Reginald's mid lane. So top lane knows that Chaos is going back, and the ward placement from Curse has been so smart. They know exactly where TSM is seemingly at all times.
The Odd One yet to pull off any kind of successful pressure. His one failed gank middle only resulted in Dyrus burning his Ignite. So they are struggling a little bit here. Curse coming out a little bit stronger. Even the matchup between Cop and Chaos, 68 minion kills to 61, so Cop out farming Chaos, which is not what happened last game.
We typically have seen Chaos doing well in terms of farming, and in that game 1, he was almost 20 minion kills ahead of Cop at this point. So Cop making sure that he takes care of his last hits and tries to pressure X Special, not landing a successful hook yet. Could he change it? No. The Valkyrie from Cop is going to make sure that Elements does not land that hook and a potential kill.
Really just looking around, you can see Curse having a lot of pressure on mid. Reginald is completely contained, getting harassed down by Nijaki. With all that Dark Binding landing, he's going to be really careful of not dying here. And we see St. Vicious sneaking into the bottom brush. They might catch into Dyrus.
Dyrus face checking it. There's the Hemoplague. Dyrus flashes up, but he gets exhausted. St. Vicious diving in with his ultimate. There's the pool for the slow. And will they be able to pick him up? Odd One is there trying to negate it. And Dyrus turns around with the equalizer. Will he be able to take out West Rice? Yes, he will. He gets out with a sliver of health.
The ultimate from Maokai coming down to save Dyrus from the Hemoplague damage. West Rice, knowing he didn't want to come in for that, diving the tower, it was a mistake. That turnaround, that counter gank by Odd One, so successful.
And so brave from Dyrus, using the equalizer to make sure that the amount of damage that was put out. Odd One jumping on a Nijaki, but that black shield says, no, I'm not going to get snared this time. I'm just going to walk away because I'm Morgana. But bottom lane, Dyrus getting out with 12 health. It's the second time he did it. in the quarterfinals, he got out with 1 health. He is flirting with danger and coming out okay.
That gank was so close for Curse converting, and this is the story of both of these games. TSM getting out of fights with slivers, life stealing and damage reducing just to live with 10 health. If this keeps happening for Curse, it would be a terrible way to go out, just knowing that they weren't doing anything wrong strategically, they weren't setting up the poor ganks, they were just losing by 10 health in these fights. That's how close these teams have been so far, and that's how close this game is right now.
Looking at the bottom lane, Dyrus with that kill, 69 minion kills to Westrice's 59, but that kill is going to start pushing him ahead. He has the health crystal, he has the amplifying tome, he has the sorcerer shoes. Jad, I think we're going to see a hunting guys out of this rumble.
Very well might. So common on TSM nowadays, or even just Rumble nowadays. So much base damage from that Flame Spitter. You just want to stack magic penetration to crush down on your opponent. You can see that Westrice is predicting that a little bit, getting the early Spirit Visage, so they're just building up against each other. And now, the first objective control here from Curse, trying to force down onto the Dragon. They're going to get it because Chaos is up top farming.
Curse has all 5 members of their team, and the TSM main damage dealer is in the top lane. Chaos is going to shove this lane, but Curse is going to take the first Dragon of this game, too.
Fantastic objective control. All tournament for Curse. Really out-objectiving TSM is no easy task. The odd one was the creator of creating timers. He times wards, he times buffs, he times dragon. But Saint Vicious is beating them to the punch. Their team cohesively is moving around a lot better. And whether that's a choice of TSM not wanting to fight and ulting up Morgana early on, instead waiting for later, or not, it is giving Curse that dragon advantage.
Chaos once again trying to get that tower down. In game 1, we saw Curse take first dragon, and Dyrus, as well as the Odd One, tried to take that top tower down.
He could be in a lot of trouble here.
Odd One could loop in for the gank. There he goes. There's the speed boost throwing special. Exhaust going down. Odd One gets the snare down. Will Westrice be able to pull? He pops the Hemoblade, but Odd One is there with the ultimate. Westrice is ignited. One more hit. Will do it. Will he go down? Yes, he will. Chaos picking up another kill for TSM.
And I have to highlight how good TSM played that, because Maokai and Blitzcrank are all about getting Chaos farmed. Any 3 of them could have finished off the last hit, but they knew they had the kills so far in the bag that the Odd One and X Special just stopped attacking right at the end, making sure that Graves got that gold. Really, they're just all about getting Chaos that gold because they know how good he is at carrying.
They not only got that kill, they got the first turret of this game too, so TSM making sure that they get ahead, and we know that when TSM gets ahead, they are so difficult to come back against.
That actually evened out the gold exactly for a quick second. You can actually see, though, that Nijaki, just much like last game, out-farming Reginald, out-pressuring Reginald so far. Once he completes that Abyssal Scepter, they're going to be going for these objectives, and whether or not TSM decides to continue to concede dragons or not will decide if we get another engagement. Curse really wants those fights. Once they get that Abyssal Scepter on Jackie, it's all about him being powerful. In the meantime, though, TSM doing a lot of 3-man roaming, trying to just pressure down onto Curse, because Cobb, he's got to be careful. He might not be able to hold this on his own.
This is that early pressure style we've seen TSM learning from their losses. We saw this with Azubu Blaze X Special, just meat shielding
Everyone
all the top missiles.
here.
This could be a big engage. Odd One is here. Nijaki is roaming. The Maokai sapling sees him, and TSM is going to disengage immediately. Reginald was heading bottom as well, so we could have seen a 5v4 exchange. Westrice is top lane, trying to farm out. He is at 88 minion kills to Rumble's 95, so Dyrus still a little bit ahead, especially with that gold, and with Westrice at 0 and 2.
You can see that the farming of the jungle objectives and the lanes is giving Curse a bit of an edge. Despite being down 1 tower to 0, and despite being down 2 kills to 1, they still hold the gold advantage. So they're doing a really good job in the lanes, just making sure they get their gold in hand. Now they're pressuring up top a lot with Westrice. He's been doing a lot of great farming against Dyrus the whole game. And when these team fights clash, I can't expect them to be any more one-sided than last game. They're going to be so close. Everything has been so close this entire series.
Odd One looping in, trying to extend that lead a little bit. Odd One drops the sapling behind Westrice, knocks him back. There's the snare. Dyrus is there. Could this be the Electro Harpoon? Electro Harpoon is there. Westrice flashing sideways, Ignite going down. Look, Saint Vicious is there. Odd One dropping his ultimate, having to flash out. So Westrice is there. Could they turn this around? They are going to turn this one. Westrice is going to take him out, and Saint Vicious is going to continue on to Dyrus. Dyrus taking out Westrice. Nijaki is there. Could he land the binding? One binding will do it. There's the ultimate. Will he get it? Yes, he will. And Dyrus is going to go down. Nijaki getting the roam and the kill. The turnaround 2v1 for Curse Gaming.
That is almost a repeat of what happened last time when they jumped onto St. Vicious and Westerice in that fight. And as a counter, Reggie is trying to roam down bottom, but everyone is backing up in preparation for that. Such a good synergy between St. Vicious and Westerice thus far. He used to gank top so much, they're really building that up because their coordination in those 2v2s is top-notch.
As Chaos and Special try to take this bottom tower down, they're just going to back off and let the minions do it. St. Vicious is trying to return the favor. Little more health on that top tower. St. Vicious is going to back off. He still has that red buff, so those ganks are still going to be quite potent. But with these towers going down, we are very well going to see a lot more team fights, Chad.
We have a replay of that last gank, and let's just get that rolling so we can show you what's up. So much trouble for Westerice. You can tell they knew they could train him down entirely. Westerice flashes in the direction of St. Vicious so he can come in over top while the Hemo Plague is still running. They try to flash away, but the red buff from St. Vicious and the slow from Westerice does slow that down. They are able to finish off Vladimir, but here St. Vicious is just on the train. No way Nijaki is not getting this kill. He had Flash, Alt, and Dark Binding. He runs into range so he can get the slowdown, making the Binding easier to land, and saves his Flash.
Nijaki showing how dangerous he is on that roaming Morgana. He is now 2-0, 148 minion kills, has the Abyssal Scepter, has the Sorcerer's Shoes, has the Doran's Ring, a little bit of extra mana regen and health to supplement that massive damage and magic resist reduction. On the other hand, Reginald finished his Catalyst. He has his Tear of the Goddess as well as his Sorcerer's Shoes, but he has no kills, and he's at 128 minion kills. So Morgana doing what she does best, farming, shoving, and roaming.
You see actually a Trinity Force coming out onto Cobb, so that's a mid-game power spike item. When you get the Trinity Force, it is one of the best items for its purpose early, but we see Chaos going with the Bloodthirster. That's going to transfer in to better multiplication of damage. Once he gets the Phantom Dancer, he will be stronger than Cobb. Right now is when Curse needs to take their advantage. That Dragon's going to be coming out soon. They still haven't pushed down any towers. They have to start pouncing now, otherwise TSM's control in teamfights and damage reduction from Maokai's ultimate will probably lead to another victory. Curse has to jump on it right now while they have the edge.
Nijaki continuing to pressure this mid lane. Odd One X Special and Chaos ward clearing around this dragon. Curse dropping one more ward in the dragon pit, maybe trying to bait out. They start finding Nijaki, just missing it. Cop dropping a couple of missiles to aggro the dragon, and TSM is going to say, okay, we're going to start it up. 5 members of TSM there.
Careful. 5-on-5 engagement. I think Curse has the edge if they engage properly.
Westerice is coming in from behind, so this could be a flank. Nijaki flashing in onto Reginald. Reginald's going to get obliterated. Cobb taking him out. Westerice getting the nuke down, but Odd One's going to take Nijaki out, and Curse is going to try and steamroll through this fight, chasing down Special. Cobb flashing onto Chaos. They may be able to take it out. There's the speed boost and the missile. Max range. St. Vicious is going to get the credit for that kill, so a 4-for-2 in favor of Curse. And as you said, TSM could be in a bit of trouble, and that's what they got themselves into.
The mid-game power spike from that Trinity Force on Cobb and the Abyssal Scepter onto Morgana were the difference in that fight. They killed Reginald almost immediately, catching him a little bit out of position. And here comes the second dragon for Curse. They are still yet to clear towers, so once they start getting these towers down, that gold advantage could balloon into something fairly substantial. Really good play by Curse. This is a bigger edge than they had in game 1. Will they be able to hold on to it?
St. Vicious basically soloing that second dragon 2-0 in favor of Curse as we approach the 19-minute mark. We have a quick replay of that last epic dragon exchange.
It was an interesting ult by Nijaki, but they did make sure to get Reginald out of the way. Chaos can never get fully involved in this fight because Westerice came in from behind and dropped the Hemo Plague. He actually ends up flashing away, and here Kopp makes a good decision. Knowing St. Vicious had the Blitzcrank down, he needed to get the damage down onto Chaos, and he was able to finish it off.
Kopp with that Trinity Force putting so much damage out. Chaos not able to get out of there. He was extremely low, but wasn't able to repeat his antics of last, him surviving with a sliver of health. Those missiles from Kopp were dead on, and Nijaki, with that exchange, was able to pick up a needlessly large rod. So those ultimates are going to be hitting even harder in the next fight.
Waiting actually for the big aura items to start coming out. The Abyssal Scepter was reached by Nijaki early. St. Vicious very close to reaching that Aegis of the Legion. They're just going to try to continue and win team fights with those aura items on top. They will give them a bigger and bigger edge. They need to start clearing these global objectives to make their entire team stronger. They're really going a little bit all in, especially with that Trinity Force and just with the Morgana composition. TSM needs to hold off here, and so far they've done a great job because none of their towers have fallen. It's going to be interesting to see how long they can hold them now that they're behind.
Curse Gaming ahead almost 3,000 gold. We talked about aura items and Westerice grabbing an aura item for himself. we haven't seen the Will of the Ancients as much. A lot of players opting for that nuke AP build. Messiah has been using it. Stanley has been using it. Dyrus actually cited Stanley as the reason why he changed his build. Jat, what is the strength of this Will in this composition?
It's going to allow them to stick around and deal with Rumble's AoE in teamfights because they'll be vamping up the auxiliary damage that they end up taking. It used to be a much more popular item in double AP comps, but instead fell out of favor very briefly. They have the Abyssal Scepter on Morgana and the Woda for Vladimir, and there's a dive by St. Vicious.
St. Vicious and Cop ulting in. Oddone getting exhausted and ignited. He's going to loop out. He doesn't have that much, but he walks back into St. Vicious, and St. Vicious is going to take him out. Nijaki getting his gun down on the Reginald, and Reginald getting obliterated by Nijaki. There's that damage we were talking about from Nijaki. He is now 3-1-2.
Oh my goodness, the pings are going down onto Baron. They have 2 members of TSM down. This is a very aggressive play. There's a ward inside the Baron pit that they are clearing out. TSM knows exactly what they're going for. They've used ultimates in teamfights. How is TSM going to try to prevent this?
Dyrus does have that equalizer. 5 members of Curse are looking to catch him. Dyrus just doing the binding. Exponential chaos, and there goes the equalizer. Cop trying to get some damage onto Dyrus. Dyrus flashing out. Will he be able to take Scene out? Yes, he will, but not before Cop takes him out. That is going to be a double kill for Cop, so a 2-for-2 exchange, but TSM forcing Curse off of that Baron.
Very successful hold by TSM, coming in 3v5, using the Baron to help them out in that fight, and taking a 2-for-2. So successful. If Curse could have taken out that Baron, could have been the end for TSM, but because they stopped them, they're still in the game. They need to get through these teamfight phase. So far, Curse doing such a great job stopping. They got the Aegis of Legion down onto St. Vicious now, so really just overall auras, it's Aegis, Woda, Abyssal against just the Abyssal of TSM. TSM needs to hold off until they get stronger, until Chaos can carry.
Cop is team fighting so smartly. He's 3-0-4. He's got the Trinity Force, and he is working his way into the Infinity Edge. We saw in Game 1 he grabbed a Bloodthirster, but it looks like he's going back to a bit more bursty, traditional Corki build.
He's actually going, yeah, the Infinity Edge.
Good point. He's going for the Infinity Edge. Nijaki with the blue buff, pushing down this mid lane.
So much poking around. Curse waiting for that next moment where they can initiate. Overall, I think that Baron was a mistake. They could have taken towers. Getting that 2-for-2 potentially set them back. They gave some kill sprees back onto TSM, and most importantly, Chaos got a few more kills. Finished off that Phantom Dancer, finished off that Bloodthirster. He is potentially stronger than Pop now, despite having almost 1,000 less gold. So 8,500 to 7,600, very, very close there. And really, Curse has all the control here. It's a matter of them converting in that Dark Binding land.
And then going, Curse jumps all over that one binding. Oddone is extremely low. He does his best to get out, but Cop is on a rampage now. Every small mistake that TSM makes and every binding Nijaki makes, Curse is going to jump all over it.
He did end up burning a lot for that, though. They used the Morgana ult as well as St. Vicious' Dragon form, so they're just going to try to roam around now with the advantage. There's no damage reduction coming out from TSM now that they've finished off Maokai. They need to start getting more of these towers. They've had them low for quite a while. They need to finish them off. They need to get that global gold. Then they need to force more team fights.
3 members of Curse joining Elements. Elements has the Oracles. Cops taking out that top turret, and TSM trying to respond in time. They're going to do that. They're going to loop around. Oddone will not spawn. He has just spawned, so if he wants to be a part of this next engage, he's going to have to book it. Thankfully, he has those boots of mobility, so he's going to be able to do just that. He is extremely tanky. He's got that Spirit Visage. He's got the 2 4-for-10 items. The Heart of Gold giving him a little bit extra health, and he has the Cloth Armor as well, so we may see an Aegis of the Legion in his future, or a Frozen Heart, depending upon how he wants to go for it. The rest of TSM, though, looking at their builds, the big story is that featured matchup we were talking about, Reginald versus Nijaki. Curse has been all over Reginald in every single fight. He's 0-2-2, 173 mini kills to Nijaki's 3-1-5, 209 mini kills. Nijaki now has his Zhonya's Hourglass as well, and another blasting wand. Reginald has the Rod of Ages, and he has the Tear of the Goddess. Still a little bit behind Nijaki.
Nijaki is actually a far bit ahead of Reginald. 2,200 gold, 8,900 to 6,900, so another Dragon coming down for Curse. TSM can't even contest them right now, actually. They have to almost wait until Curse makes a mistake or until the game gets substantially later. Only being 25 minutes in, TSM is not quite at the edge. If X Special can maybe land a hook on someone who's not Nijaki, because Nijaki would just ult, pop his on his Hourglass, and create the team fight from there. Much caution has to be used by TSM here because they are a fair bit behind. Great play by Curse thus far.
TSM is almost 7,000 gold behind, but X Special on Blitzcrank is that wild card. We'll see if he's going to be able to land a binding, but even if he does, Cop on Corky, who would be one of those high priority targets, has the Valkyrie. He goes through the wall, he'll just jump back through it.
So much pressure now coming out from Curse. They pushed down the outer towers. They've taken all of the dragons. Now it's about pressuring Baron, but they need to be so careful with that. Blitzcrank on X Special can just pull through the wall. The Rumble ult can completely obliterate teams at Baron Pit. It makes things very dangerous. Curse most likely wants to just push the side lanes and then look for fights in TSM's jungle because that's how they've gotten to this point. It might be too early for them to force Baron. The last time they did that, they did lose 2 members, 4-2, and they're probably not doing that again too shortly. It's all about farming up, trying to keep that advantage on TSM because eventually that Nijaki Morgana ult will not have enough damage to clear out TSM and they would be able to turn fights around.
A couple members of Curse Gaming backing off. Cop has finished his Infinity Edge, so he's now Trinity for his Infinity Edge, so he's got the burst as well as that sustained auto attack damage and the critical strikes. He's also picked up a Negatron cloak to make sure he doesn't get obliterated by that Dyrus Reginald Rumble Rise combo. Rise a late game terror if he gets his items. Reginald doing his best to try and get there. Dyrus just went back to shop. He picked up a Giant's Belt and an Amplifying Tome, so there could very well be a Rylai's Crystal Scepter in his future. That slow, coupled with the slow from the Equalizer, could spell trouble in the next team fight against Curse.
There's a lot of posturing around here. We seem to have slowed down a little bit. Curse trying to plot their next move. After taking down those towers, you can tell they're struggling to find the next thing. TSM, very effective at turtling and coming back in games. They came back last game, but they were not as far behind. They can't necessarily just force team fights with Shen anymore because they do not have that global pressure. How they maneuver around and how Curse decides to get these team fights started is really going to be the telling factor deciding this game.
If X Special is going to be able to land a hook, it could be here. 3 members are in and will, just out of reach. They could have gotten Cop. Cop would have been able to Valkyrie out, but if TSM had changed their crowd controls just well enough, they could have bursted him down. And Curse is going to go for this Baron.
They might just force this out. No, they're going to be backing off. They do not want to risk getting caught in a Rumble ult or get into a Smite Steel war. They don't have a big enough lead yet to directly force it. Instead, they're going to try to push mid. You can see TSM is split up a bit. Dyrus is shown top. They could get a quick tower here.
Something we haven't really touched on is the effectiveness of TSM when they're fighting in that Baron Pit. Rumble with that Equalizer, able to just drop it along the line as Curse is doing that Baron, and Maokai can drop his ultimate in, so we could see a couple of flashes in if Curse decides to force the action inside that pit.
They're going to be able to get this tower. Members of TSM having to recall back to base. Another pickup. That first inner tower there from Curse has been dropped for TSM.
Curse continuing to build their lead. They are at almost 9,000 gold. They were at 7,000 gold about a minute ago, and they are making sure that TSM does not come back, because with every second, with every minute that ticks by,
what a great counter
going in, Nijaki blasting, and he's got 2 members of TSM on him. Reginald's being forced out of the fight. There's the Equalizer, but Cop is unstoppable. The odd one caught in the middle of it. Westrise is extremely low, but Cop is doing work. There is a double kill, and he is continuing to steamroll through. Chaos is exhausted, and Chaos is dead for a triple kill, but Curse is continuing on the run. There's the Valkyrie for Cop. Could we see a quadrant? Yes, we will! Cop, a beast on Corky.
Cop actually manning up in that fight. He flashed into the fight to engage. He did not move away in fear. He just destroyed them. I can't even get my words right because of that fantastic quadra kill. Stepping up, pulling a Chaos like from the last game and trying to carry his own team in these team fights. So aggressive, so much damage. That's the break they needed.
And carry he is 8-0-4, 235 minion kills. He is so far ahead of this team, and he is showing how powerful he is in these fights.
They have a hot second here. There's a ward inside the Baron Pit. Will Cop and St. Vicious have enough damage to take down this Baron? It looks like they might, but the odd one does have his flash and Smite open. He could attempt for a miracle steal heal. He needs to hurry up, and I don't know if Curse is ready for it.
Cop is going in, and odd one heals the Baron! Holy moly! Odd one goes down, and X Special gets the grab onto St. Vicious. St. Vicious is extremely low. X Special does not want to fight this one. A ton of retreat pings going down, but how about that? Just when you think Curse is about to put the nail in the coffin, Odd one with the Baron steal. How about clutch?
Those boots of mobility, Curse did not expect him to run to the Baron Pit that fast. They saw the death timers, they knew when he was going to be coming up, and he just beat them to the punch. St. Vicious did not get his smite off, so he was taking it potentially conservatively. The odd one completely catching them by surprise. He threw in that sapling at the last moment to help him with the damage spike and just pulled it off. With that gold, we have a replay of that fantastic Baron steal.
We've got to see that again.
So good. And then they get the pull onto St. Vicious, not able to pull much off that, sacrificing his life, the true general, saving TSM's bacon right there.
Round of applause and a salute to General Odd One. TSM trying to push out this middle lane. The mid inhibitor is down, so TSM trying to stall this game out. Odd One unfortunately not reaping the benefits of this Baron buff because he did go down and he lost his Oracle's Elixir. So TSM not able to ward clear as effectively as they want to. St. Vicious has been impressive along with Elements in making sure that TSM has limited to no sight.
As this game stretches, 40, maybe 50 minutes, TSM will get stronger and stronger. That percentage damage reduction becomes more and more effective the more damage people start doing from Maokai's ultimate. With this Baron buff, Curse has to be very careful about fighting. It is a lot of stats that they get: attack damage, ability power, health, and mana regeneration. It's so much. And the first dragon of the game coming down to TSM as well, using that Baron control to come back in this game. That was really a last-ditch effort by the Odd One, and this is keeping them alive.
TSM limping along in this game too. They do not want this to go to 3. They want to end this right here, right now, and go into this grand final. That is their first dragon, but this seems to be the pattern. Curse complete control in the early game for Drake. They had the first 3, and TSM making sure that when it counted, they were there. Baron steal, dragon, they're back in this.
So much on the line here. If TSM can continue to come back in this game, they will move on to the grand finals. They'll get a bid into the Season 2 World Championships and a spot in the Season 3 series. Curse would get the same rewards as well if they're able to win the next 2 games. Such a good chance to convert a victory here. They just have to find a way to finish it. The inhibitor's down. The Baron buff is only going to last so long for TSM. They're going to try to engage after that point. They still have an advantage, and they still need to push. They can't let that Baron steal set them back too far. They need to continue what got them here and keep the pressure up.
Curse is rotating bottom lane. All 5 members are there. The ping's going down from TSM. Curse wants to take out this bottom turret. It's going to go down unopposed. TSM, despite that Baron steal, are still so far behind. 33 minutes into this game, almost 8,000 gold separates these two teams. Jat, at what time is that gold threshold going to be mitigated?
It's going to be a while. It's going to be 40, 45 minutes, maybe 50. But with how many kills Cop's gotten, hyper-fed 80 carries cancel out everything else. They can completely dominate. He's not even quite there yet, though. You can see Chaox has his same item build that he got last time, so he's there from a farm perspective. Cop having the same items, but also having a Negatron cloak, so really these fights are going to be about Cop being in the right place, getting the damage out. Chaox is the same way. The difference here is actually Reginald's turret-based sustained damage versus Nijak and Westerai's loaded burst AoE damage. Whoever falls in these fights and whoever carries hardest is going to come out on top.
We saw in a lot of those fights, Curse coming out on top by catching Chaox out of position. And looking at a couple more of the items for TSM, Dyrus has finished his Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so that's going to allow TSM to get a little bit of a better position and prevent Cop, who has been so mobile, especially with that Blood Boil, from getting out of sticky situations and imposing as well. They don't want to see another quadra kill on this one. TSM is there. You could see another engage in this one. A couple pokes going down, and the middle inhibitor has finally respawned.
Baron is also off onto TSM, so the fight could very well start, and Curse would have no problems going in. They get the pull on
Sage being forced to ultimate out. TSM is going to disengage right away before the next engage. Curse is not going to have that St. Vicious ultimate.
I was almost expecting St. Vicious to turn right around and try to ult in, and that to be a catalyst for the start of the fight. But everyone was on the same page. Saint went out. No one went in to rescue him. Now it's just a matter of resetting that pull. A very effective stall for TSM, because now Curse can't fight successfully without the dragon form. He's got to farm up, get that rage stacked up again so he can use his ultimate.
X Special once again, the wild card, one hook, turning the tide in this game. What could have been an even 5-on-5 exchange now forces a disengage, and Dyrus can continue to farm. He's at 200 mini kills. He also picked up a chain vest as well, so there could be a Zhonya's Hourglass and a couple seconds of invulnerability in his future.
One of the biggest items that is yet to be completed, you see Reginald with that Glacial Shroud. The attack speed reduction aura is going to be very effective against St. Vicious' diving and Cop's carry when he's able to complete it. So that item, as this game progresses, and the general team composition of TSM will get stronger if they continue on this stall and farm game. When that next Baron comes up is going to be a huge turning point, because Curse will look to fight instead of take Baron. They do not want to get stolen again.
Baron is coming up in about a minute, and you know both teams in their chat are saying Baron's up in a minute, we got to get ready, we got to fight, and we are going to see a dynamite exchange once this Baron goes up, because this Baron could very well decide this game too.
You can see everyone preparing for that fight. There's an Elixir of Fortitude on Cop. That's going to give him a spike in power. Both teams should be getting as big as they can before this fight. They're all clearing up buffs. They all have all of their summoner spells. They are ready for a full-on engagement that could potentially decide this game. Jackie getting blue buff, Reginald getting blue buff as well. All the red buffs are on the 80 carries. This next fight, once Baron comes up, could be a huge one.
Both teams grouping up in the mid lane and making their way to Baron Pit. Elements has that Oracle piece, cleared out the wards. Baron almost has no wards except for that one curse ward by the mid lane. And this is an open field 5v5 if they want it. This is all going to come down to if the odd one is going to be able to land that ultimate to mitigate that West Race Nijaki burst, because boy are they hitting hard. Nijaki has his Rabadon's death cap now. In addition to that, Zhonya's X Special just missing. West Race on the hook. Reginald popping his ultimate on the St. Vicious. St. Vicious taking a ton of damage, but he is far too tanky to go down with that initial burst. Finding landing onto Reginald, but Reginald's going to say, okay, let's do it again.
A lot of poke coming down. There was a 20-second window without Reginald's ultimate that they could have done something, but it's going to be back up in 5. It's all about the next hook. It's all about the next binding that people are ready to match up on, and both these teams proceeding with much caution. Either team was not going in without a large advantage here, and this fight could very well explode at any second.
So much pressure, so much on the line. Nijaki trying to land a binding. One binding is going to signal the start of that fight and a potentially devastating victory for Curse Gaming in this game too. On the other hand, if X Special lands just one hook,
Curse splitting up to farm waves. There's a huge wave developing bottom. Pop trying to make quick work of that, but because Westeros went as well for the top lane, they're going to be giving up this tower to TSM, pouncing on the opportunities.
TSM taking whatever advantage that they can. They're going to take that middle turret and back off immediately. They saw Cop was going for the bottom lane. Cop farming up extremely well. 277 mini kills in addition to those 8 kills and 5 assists. And we can very well see him building full builds soon. Maybe a last whisper. Oh, but a hook onto St. Vicious. St. Vicious getting almost duped. There's the equalizer. Nijaki going in with the black shield, but only gets one member of TSM. Dyrus flashing in to try and take Nijaki is out. St. Vicious trying to zone them out as much as they can. X Special going down, but there comes Cop. Cop is so fed. Cop is legendary. Cop is chasing Chaos down, and that is a double kill for him. And Curse steamrolls TSM. One last missile does it. That's an inhibitor, and Curse is giving it a push into the TSM base unopposed.
5-for-0 ace. The new Blood Boil giving him that chasing power. So many Valkyries. The Trinity Force that he bought earlier in the game, giving him the slow procs as he chased people down. Flashing in aggressively again for Cop. Manning up, not being scared, crushing down TSM. They got the Baron stolen from them, but let's hear it for Curse. They're forcing a third game against TSM, and this is going to be huge.
This series has been unbelievable from the get-go. In Game 1, TSM staving off some firm Curse resistance. But in Game 2, Curse says, no way. When we get the lead this time, we are going to hold it. And as a result, we're going to go to Game 3. It is only the second best of 3. And we're going to go right to the scorecard. 1-all, TSM Curse. One map to decide who goes to the